All right.
Teresa, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, we'll call this meeting of August the 5th for Economic Development to order. Shiv, Dutcher, Carol Van Dies, myself, the 3 committee members are in attendance, along with Alexis Fitzsimmons and Bailey and Jack and Jim and Teresa. The first thing we'll do will be call action on the minutes from June the 3rd.
I didn't have any additions.
Me either.
Okay, so,
So I'll second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next is Alexis. You're on our agenda. Would you have anything that you would like to talk about or share with us today?
I just would ask, just give a brief background on you, your profession, and, how you got to be here in Gurlitton County, and then kind of your future of the organization that you may see here in the near future,
Sure. So,
amongst whatever else.
I've been with Gurlitton County for about a month now, and I came immediately from American Municipal Power, which is the joint action agency for municipal electric utilities. But I've been in economic development for quite a while. I started my career at the state of Ohio at the Department of Development, and worked under the Strickland administration there. I did after that some grants management and community outreach work for Oswego. I worked in Middletown for 4 years as their assistant director for economic development, and then went to AMP and to grow. What precipitated my transition to grow and my interest in grow is, number one, I'm a Licking County girl. I grew up here. So Licking County is my community, and I feel very strongly about the success of Licking County as a whole and wanting to see it succeed. I think that everyone, obviously, public servants all have a interest in the betterment of their communities, and I feel very connected to Licking County in that way. So I was happy to be able to bring my skills and my skill set to grow Licking County and further the mission that they have started and been quite successful with. As far as moving forward with Grow Licking County, I think that as I've worked through the past 4 weeks or so, I really would like to focus efforts on continuing our workforce development efforts, which have been excellent to this point. And I think that's not something that we can rest on our laurels with. It's a continuous issue that needs to be constantly addressed, but also sites and infrastructure. I think sites and infrastructure in Licking County are extremely important, and we can't continue to attract new businesses and grow our existing businesses without having good sites and good infrastructure. And there's several areas in the county that need better infrastructure and needs to be expanded upon. So I'm hoping that as we move through the end of this year, that we can make plans to be proactive in those things in 2022.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any questions for Alexis?
Where did you go to school in Licking County?
I went to Neuro Catholic.
Okay. We won't hold it against
That's okay. I'm not a Johnny.
It's all right.
Well, Alexis, again, you're more than welcome. We have these meetings the first Thursday of the month, and we kind of just regroup. Our council structure is, in my opinion, awesome. The way we work in committees and we get stuff done there, and then tend to breeze through council meetings themselves unless we get a little long-winded. But
like the other night.
yeah. But a majority of the work, it's obviously a public meeting, and we publicize it and whatnot. So you're more than welcome to come. Our park committee, Carol's chair of that one, and Richard Wall from the Park District comes up, and we kind of just meet monthly, just kind of download what everybody else is doing and share information.
That's the second Thursday of the month.
So yeah, that's the second Thursday. And we have finance committee, safety and service, and that's where a lot of like I said, the work kind of almost gets done. So So yeah, I don't know. Anything else that I'm missing to share with Alexis?
You've got it. And she'll hear about our infrastructure and what we're on, what we're doing, and
Yeah, I was
we
thinking
move
about,
through the agenda.
yeah, as we move to the agenda, I was thinking about kind of giving you the download on all the projects, but we're gonna be doing it. So if you wouldn't mind sticking around and listening to what's going on, that
Oh,
would maybe
I had planned
beneficial.
to stay for the
Perfect.
whole meeting.
Okay,
So.
great.
Good. And I hope you're open, if we need, have any questions, I hope you're open to us calling you. So
Oh, absolutely. I'm here as a resource for all the communities in Licking County. So.
thank you.
We appreciate that.
Okay, so we'll continue on. The CIC updates and the incubator board selection. We've been sort of on a hold for the past 2 months. Any news on that or?
So the CIC, Dana's done a great job working with the feds to get this tax exempt status. We formed our own CIC, Alexis, probably a year ago, at
Mhm.
least. It's shaky at best. We're just still trying to get the tax exempt status. And a lot of people questioned us, like, we have Gurligan County, what are you doing with your CIC? The things that our CIC are willing to tackle, like property acquisition and loans, and that's something Gurligan County isn't really doing, and nor did they want to do.
More
So,
community development.
correct.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I don't,
Yeah.
a lot of people were like, oh, you guys are gonna pull out of Grow. No, we actually
Yeah.
increased our contribution to Grow from 10,000 to 12 or 13, I think, since we started. So we believe in Grow, and we're not pulling out anytime soon. So, so when you see CIC, you're like, what the heck?
The tax, we don't have the tax status
No,
yet.
we gotta get that board meeting together, because we have to pass a resolution.
Oh, okay.
So I gotta just coordinate that for the tax exempt. We need that
Okay.
resolution, then Dana's gonna submit it to the feds, and that should be all we really need.
We could do that online or virtual. Not with the
Yeah,
CIC?
it has to be, not with
Public
anything,
body.
Really?
just the legislature in their.
I thought that was just a public
In their
body.
wisdom.
CIC is a public
It
body.
is a
It
public body? Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
so we gotta get people to, just schedules gotta align to get that
Right,
done.
okay. All right.
And then the incubator board, I know we've had a couple people give ideas on other folks that may be interested, but we just gotta, again, come together and pick out who that's actually gonna be. So those would probably be the 2 topics of the next meeting once we coordinate it. So that's all I really have on that.
Okay, and then the exciting project is our mobility hub, or update, what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And we all look at Jim when we say this stuff.
And trust me, I'm learning as we go too. But I sent you that press release with Drive Ohio and stuff. We're really pushing the idea of not using single family vehicles or single use vehicles to get around town. So we've partnered with a private industry as well as some other institutional folks like Denison and Licking Memorial Hospitals and a whole bunch of other folks. But all said and done, the idea is high level conceptual, is that we're going to build a mobility hub right here that will have everything from EV cars, ride sharing, transit bus station, kind of like a Grand Central Station terminal of alternate use vehicles, scooters, vertiport for aerial copters and electric helicopters and whatnot. So we're doing that. That's the first, well, I guess that's the second phase. The first phase is some technology. We're developing a technology that will basically aggregate all of the different transit organizations into one hub. And then you can plan, execute, pay for, monitor your ride through all these different uses, whether it's transit or CODA, bike path, and maybe you're going to walk on a bike path, how to get from point A to point B in Central Ohio. So LCATS has given us $250,000. And so we've already issued an RFP for the technology vendor. Senator Brown has recommended a $900,000 request to the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, which they're starting to mark up. Like I know Department of Ag went through markup this week. Some other departments are going through that process. So I'm hoping that's going to be this week or next. 900 will finish the technology development with Licking Memorial Hospital as a use case and CTEC as a use case, because we're trying to get people to and from educational opportunities. And then the last one, the last funding piece is a federal grant due the 23rd of this month, as well as Ohio DOD and One Columbus, or no, not One Columbus, Jobs Ohio. So they're all interested. We met with DOD last week, Bailey, I think.
Yes.
Very great conversation. Director Lydia was, or Mahalik, whatever her last name, Mahalik was there briefly, but she stuck her head in. So that's kind of the whole mobility hub update and what we're trying to do. And it's kind of exciting, and a lot of people are supporting us. So it's a lot of fun. And I think the whole premise is, and I can talk days about it, is, we can't widen 62 anymore, unless we're going to wipe out a whole row of houses. So how do we get people to and from work without using traditional infrastructure? And we pivoted towards this idea of investing in technology and the way people are going to travel in the future. And it helps that we have a transportation-based company here, which is Tech Rubber, to partner with. So with that being said, Tech Rubber, who owns all this property, and they've announced plans to basically consolidate all of this and move to this facility. They own this facility, and they own this facility. But they're going to be putting on 100,000 square feet, 100,000 square feet, and modernizing and consolidating all of their workforce down here. And we got some 629 and Jobs and Commerce money to realign Sportsman's Club Road, which will be a roundabout. So
Tech should be starting on site work very soon, any day now.
I mean, the tech, yeah, they're already out
Their
there.
expansion.
You were moving dirt yesterday.
Yeah, silt fences
They
up.
don't have a COA, so they can't start on the actual building or foundation, but they're starting on site work while they're waiting on the architect.
So that's kind of exciting. So that's kind of not only the hub, but we're going to look at reuse of this property as well. Because at the end of 22, they'll be out, right? That's the end. That's
Yes.
the plan. It'll be beginning of 23. They're going to be consolidated down at their other facility. So that's kind of exciting. So it's kind of the mobility hub update. I don't know if I'm missing anything.
No, I don't think you are.
Any other questions? I don't know. That's kind of a brief overview.
One thing maybe that we might want to mention is that we really want the mobility hub to be replicable. So we've talked to Buckeye Lake. They're really interested in it. Once we get this thing up and running, we really want to have other communities be able to use this. We don't want it to be so challenging that nobody's going to be interested in having this in their community. So
Having other hubs that you can connect with.
right. So I think that's a big thing that we've been focusing on too.
Yeah, great point. The technology is going to be open source. So we're going to be able to package it up and give it to Richland County or something like that, so they can, develop this themselves. That's a great point. So we're not doing this just for us, although we are. It's going to be replicable elsewhere. So it's really exciting. Teresa's going to be the first one in the electric helicopter. So Cheryl, that's kind of where we are with
Okay, and
that.
then Project Mastodon, you sort of already
I kinda hit
discussed
that.
that.
Project Mastodon, I know we're public, but it's the tech expansion there at their new facility.
So, okay, so we'll move right along to the Enterprise Center.
So the Enterprise Center is the joint effort between ourselves and the Port Authority to install a new roadway. So the road is in, we'll probably be seeing the plat here pretty soon. I think from Rick Platt has told me we will see the plat. 44 acres are in contract, 20 acres that are owned jointly by the village and the Port Authority. That's 20 acres. And then there's another 22 acres back here that is also in contract that's owned by a private company.
So do we have to wait to see the plat until the interested party signs their contract?
No,
Because they're on it seems like once they sign their contract, they're gonna be on a time frame, and we won't want to sign a zoning certificate until it's platted.
so.
So we need to get that plat in and make sure it's done.
The only thing with the plat, if you look at the parcel map, the only thing with the plat is just going to dedicate the road to us.
Oh, okay.
So they can still purchase the
Okay.
44 acres. We can still issue a permit.
Okay.
The only thing is it's not publicly dedicated or maintained until that.
Yeah,
plat
and
comes
that's
through.
okay, as long as the actual parcel that they'll be on is good to go.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So that's, that prospect is Project River. And it will be 8 million in payroll, 8 million payroll and 100 and some jobs. Wow, it's been so long, I don't even know.
I would
But
have to look it up
60, they
again.
started at 60 and then they moved it up
100, yeah.
to 100. And a lot of those are gonna be engineering jobs and electrical engineers.
What industries?
Utility, construction, but this will be their headquarters. Their trucks, if you think AUP or the big trucks that they use will be maintained at their facility in Blended Township. So this is their HQ and training center. So as Chip mentioned, the engineers will be here, HR, the front office type people, and the CEO. Well, actually not the CEO, because they are in other states, but their local presence will all be here in Johnstown. So we anticipate them closing in the end of September. So
Can you just, Jim, just point out for Alexis where it's located, so that's
absolutely.
she's help you, sir, visualize where it is.
Once it loads.
Oh, we can drive you out there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Probably faster.
Might be easier. All right. So it's these two parcels right here.
That's Duncan Plains, the 62 Duncan Plains.
Number 62.
62 right here.
Mhm.
We're building a new water tower right here behind Grenville Milling Company. Turn the aerial on. So this property, that's 22 acres in this property. That's the 42 acres that they're purchasing, well, in contract to purchase. State Controlling Board through Jobs and Commerce just approved $200,000 for the widening of Duncan Plains from 62 here down to the property line down here. So that entire stretch of Duncan Plains Road will be widened through the work of the county engineer. Jared Nurse going to take the project. So Jobs and Commerce did, the state's doing 300 grand. So I forget who's
200 and
it's
100.
200 and 100. So Jobs and Commerce may be 100 and 629, maybe 200 or vice versa. We're doing 50 and the county engineer is doing 50. So about $400,000 to widen that stretch of roadway because of the new increase in traffic based on the new HQ coming in.
So then, Jim, we still have 22 acres in the back there
Yeah,
to,
yep. We still
for
have,
somebody else to come in?
we still have that, which I
Okay.
pitched that to a company here in Johnstown that currently leases.
Mhm.
They're in the preliminary stage of that. And then there's this tree lot, which poses a few issues because of access.
Mhm.
And then we have this down here, which is 50 acres, but it's not currently zoned for manufacturing. It's currently still zoned as the PUD from the BZ. So, yeah, this is, and it's a good problem to have. We thought, okay, let's try and sell 20 acres or maybe 5 acres a piece 4 times. And then we end up with all 44 acres being swooped up at one time, which is a good problem.
Yeah.
But it wasn't our intent, but we'll still take it. It's going to probably be a better situation in the
How
long
large is
run.
the building gonna be?
There's going to be 3 buildings, 30,000 square feet for their office, I think 10,000 square feet for their training center. And then they're going to have a big, from what I understand, another building back here for one-off maintenance of their trucks if needed.
So is the training center gonna be like a pull yard or?
I think a little bit of both. It's going to be, classroom work and then the pool yard as well. So we don't have any plans yet. So hopefully we have those in the next couple weeks. Because if they want their due diligence to wrap up in September, they gotta get going. We're in constant contact with them. They're a great company to work with and we expect nothing but good things in the next 2 months. So it's pretty exciting.
It's a great project.
Yeah.
We are excited about it, so.
And their theme of their building is rustic farmhouse.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
He
that's
told me.
cool.
The neighbors will like that.
I'm telling you, these people
They're
will
good.
put their money where their mouth is. I mean,
Mhm.
they said, as much as you can make a 30,000 square foot building look like a rustic farmhouse, we're gonna do it. So,
That
Great.
is cool.
yeah, it's not gonna be this monstrosity of
Big metal.
prolonges of,
Yeah.
concrete walls with a tiny little window. It's gonna, and he said even our sign's gonna be little because we don't get drive-in traffic.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Didn't think about that.
we're not advertising that we're here.
Yeah.
Our goal is to make sure you don't know we're here. Because that's just not how they derive their business. So it's really exciting and the guy's great. So I can tell you more offline, but it's a good project. So that's Project River, which I don't think I listed on the agenda, but that's what it is.
No, that's
But it is
okay.
Enterprise Center.
Enterprise.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is right now,
Yep.
so. Okay, any other questions on the Enterprise Center? I mean, I see that the road's in and
It's very nice. We haven't been out there.
I haven't driven back
Take
into
a
it yet,
drive.
so,
Does look good.
yeah. And Jack, about any
Very
other like water, sewer infrastructure?
I
how's
just
that going?
signed the design contract with Prime Engineering to design the water line that's going to run from
Oh, sorry, I jumped.
62 down Duncan Plains.
Okay,
That was roughly an $18,000 design contract. They're going to get started on that. I'm actually going to give them a call because we need to get our schedule, this new information out to Jared and I
Mhm.
found out about it Tuesday. We need to know their schedule to widen the road because we need to get that water line in.
Done first.
Before they widen and work that road. So I'm thinking about putting together a joint meeting or at least phone call between Jared and
Mhm.
Prime Engineering and myself, so we can make sure our schedules of putting things in the ground go in the
Good.
proper order.
Yeah. And then,
Is that a water line that will run from 62 down to that project?
Yeah, there's water already at 62 in Duncan
So-
Plains.
We have a water line here,
Yeah.
excuse me, and we just put the sewer line in here.
Yep.
And then we have the actual Enterprise Center water and sewer come in this way. Now, before we upgrade Duncan Plains, we're gonna loop, actually the water line comes down here.
Yep.
So now we're gonna loop this from here back to Duncan.
And we're going to cross the road in 2 places. We're going to get into that 45 acres that are across the road. Then we're also going to, in the initial design, we're going to cross 62 and get across there. So when they widen that intersection and do the paving, we're not going to have to get into it.
So we'll have redundancy in the business park and the Enterprise Center. So obviously, good.
and Jack, I know we've talked about this, but there's so much going on. Now I forget. Okay, are we also doing sewer down Duncan Plains?
No, we are not.
Just water?
No,
then?
right now,
Okay.
it's just water.
Okay, like I said, there's so
Because-
much going on. I don't remember.
They're currently to service the center there. We have a lift station in there that, again, Jim with his trusty pen.
Yes, very handy.
We're pumping that back out to 62 by the Granville Mill.
Okay.
So
Good to
sewer is
know.
not part of that.
That T is where our water tower is going to go. If you can go out there today, you'll see a big,
Another 4 feet went up today.
oh, really?
Another 4 feet. We got 130 some more feet to go. So another 4 feet went up today.
We're putting,
So you have to wait for that to settle and then add more?
Yeah, because you've got to let that setup get strong before you put the next layer on top of it.
Okay.
It's still all being done handwork now. I would say the next thing that's going to happen is the center crane is going to go in, because as those panels go up, you can't reach it. So that'll all be set by crane the rest of the way out.
Is this a replacement tower or additional tower?
Additional.
so we have 1 million gallons currently, and then this will be 500,000. And it serves two purposes. Once, if the other tower goes down, what do you do?
Mhm.
We had to maintain it a couple years ago, and it was down for 60 days.
Yeah, and all pump operations, you got to hope you don't lose power, because if you lose power, you lose pressure. And it also limited our firefighting severely. So this additional tower will allow us to maintenance one while the other one keeps our pressure and flow in operation.
So,
Okay. Are we done with discussing this? Anybody, any other comments? I see none. Okay, let's talk about the potentiality of a water extension to Croton Hartford. The commissioners has asked Johnstown to consider having a water line that goes up to the village of Hartford, because they have horrible water. It's all wells, basically. I think it's all wells. They would provide the money to do that, but we have to make a decision if that's something we want to do. So, and Carol asked for a pro and con sheet on this, so maybe we can start that.
yeah, we're going to, from, I guess, just our staff standpoint, I guess for Alexis, top north end of the village is right here. We actually extended a water line and sewer line to New Day Farms, which leases this building. They raise chickens and make the eggs and crack them for the egg whites and egg yolks. So we have 15-year contract with them for water and sewer. And in my estimation, I think it's a great contract with what we are. The cost benefit is phenomenally in our favor. And we also did a pilot payment on the side because they're not in the village. So they give us 60 grand a year based on income. So that's great. So the question is then, do we want to grab this and get up to the village and then also the fairgrounds? And this is 3 years probably in the making. They asked us to consider this 3 years ago. And we said, we're not going to go to the fair for 2 weeks a year. That just doesn't make sense. So now with the ARP money, the commissioners are, I guess, willing to give us what we need to get the pipe up there, including design and all that. Village of Hartford is concerned, their residents may not have the money to tap on, our tap fee's $7 grand. I think some council members and even myself, we're not there yet in terms of, is this a good idea for the village of Johnstown? So we got to do that analysis. And I think it serves two purposes to get up there. I think Jack's a proponent of protecting the territory of the village, and so am I. Because Delco's right up there, and they've indicated they're going to penetrate into Licking County. So if you got a private water company coming in, that tends to make you a little worried because they don't
have to follow the guidelines and regulations we do. They don't have to pay prevailing wage. And so it makes a municipal water company really hard to compete price-wise with installation and timeframes of getting it in the ground.
And they don't provide fire suppression either. It's just all domestic service. So they'll run a 2-inch line and go wherever.
Where does your 208 plans, like, do you have a 208 plan that
It does. It's our service area, but that's sewer only. It's not water. So actually, I don't know if it's not our service area
The
until
208 limits how far we
Right.
can head west.
to Columbus.
Yeah.
For Columbus, yeah.
But with that being sewer. So we've asked our law director, which he replied yesterday, with a very thorough analysis of what can we do to protect our interests north of town. The Representative Frazier got through the $250 million water and sewer infrastructure program. So he's asked us again, when he was formulating that, if we get this money for you, can you get up to Croton? Well, maybe, we got to figure that out. So my thoughts are, and I'll open up any questions to you guys too, is if we can get I call it Frazier money for that, for the tap fees, $1 million for tap fees. Commissioners pay for the pipe. I think it's advantageous for us to really look hard at this. If the village isn't going to get on board, and that's their prerogative, if for whatever reason they decide, no, we're not interested, I think it kills the deal, because commissioners are going to have to look really hard just to spend $7 million to the fair for 2 weeks a year. And then are we going to want to supply water? Because we're going to waste a lot because of, there's no pull, there's no heavy user up there. So we're just going to be wasting water. So the village of Hartford, in my opinion, is very, very impactful. The decision that has to be made.
Is there any development parcels that along that track that
Well, Trillium is very interesting.
Why don't you point out, I don't know whether you know where Trillium Farms is.
All these are
Pig
chicken
farm,
layer
yeah.
sites. So there's, I would say, tens of millions of chickens probably up there.
Yes.
And the history of Ohio Fresh Eggs, the old company, was they would not treat their fly problem. It was just nasty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Trillium, I think they came here right before I got here.
Yeah.
They've done a phenomenal job with fly and odor control. So that question about development is, as long as these buildings stay controlled with their odor and their fly problems, maybe in development. I don't think you're going to get commercial because of traffic, roadway infrastructure. You're not going to get that. Plus, you have fire protection or police protection or municipal services that a typical business would need. So residential, maybe, as long as Trillium.
Trillium themselves.
Yeah, Trillium could be a heavy user,
Could be.
just like Ohio,
New Day.
New Day.
New Day.
New Day's buying contractually, should be buying 125,000 gallons a day from us. So if you multiply that times six, seven other sites,
Mhm.
it's a lot of water with relatively little effort to
Output
provide
on our part, yeah.
because however many gallons they buy, that cost of labor for us is built into that gallon. So, cost of supplies, cost of chemicals is all built into that gallon. So if they buy a ton of water, we'll have to bring more people on, but it'll be paid for by the water that's being purchased. So those are some considerations that I guess we had to make. We're meeting August 19th at 5:30 here at Village Council. If you want to attend, I don't know if Grow has any interest in the decision, because I don't see that economic boom coming from the pipe.
No, I don't either. I'm one of those that I'm not crazy about the whole idea. And I've said my piece on this, but I don't see development happening up there because of the egg farm. It's not a place that people are going to want to move to. Basically, I see 3 users of water: Trillium, the horse farm, and the fair. That's pretty much all I see. If you've been up to Croton or Hartford, if you go back and forth with the name, it's a very, very poor community.
Mhm.
And if there's not tap money, I don't see anybody put money into tapping in. So I don't see a lot of advantages. And unfortunately, I'd like to expand our water lines. It's just like, that's not the direction I had wanted to go, because I don't see the potential. If we were going down Route 37, that's where we need to go, even if we have to finance it ourselves. I think that's what we should do. But that's my feeling. So we're, as you can see, we're sort of a mixed group.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, and I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you did. Is what is our interest with moving down 37? Now, the first thing I think we need to make clear is the money that the county is tentatively willing to give us to move towards Croton cannot be moved over to
Right.
37.
It will be our own,
It would be our own
own pockets.
pocket. Now,
Yeah.
we did bond some money to run to 161. Do we want to do some design work and divert? I don't know how many times we spent that same amount of money, Jim.
We haven't though, that's the thing. We're
Do-
nickel and diming a little bit,
We
but we got
are, yeah.
$1.8 million sitting
Do
there.
we want to divert some of those funds to moving down 37? Because the word did come out that Delco is wanting to cross County Line Road
Mhm.
again, in what I consider Johnstown territory. You know, Marvin, I know Marvin said we could both run lines. That's not feasible. If they got lines there and we got
No,
lines
no, we
there,
can't do
you're
that.
splitting customers. It doesn't
No.
make sense.
Mhm.
And then you're into a bidding war on your water. First group there will control the ground. So, you know, and Cheryl and I have agreed to disagree. I think it's
Yeah.
good to control that area if we can up towards Croton. But the thing we all need to understand is that money will not be diverted over there, but we do have money sitting in the bank. If this group and along with finance committee wants me to get started moving water and design work to move water that direction,
What direction did you say, 37 or 62?
No, 37.
37, 62.
Two Alexandria.
No.
No, the other way.
North, the county line,
Well, and we,
Clover Valley.
So is there any way we could do some creative leverage with the commissioners about, we'll do this, but you've got to, be on board with us doing another direction too?
Well, going the other direction, talking about what I'll call North 37, which is kind of West 37. I don't think the commissioners will have any problem with us doing that at all. That's fine. They're very fine as long as they don't have to put any money into
they're not going to
anything.
contribute at all.
No, they're not going to give us any money.
You know, as we discussed in a meeting there the other day, that we constantly jab at the commissioners, you guys don't pay any attention to us up there. You don't give us any money up this direction. Well, the Croton Road line, they're saying here's $6 to $7 million to make this work. So,
But they have more than that.
oh, they have 34.
34.
So that's why I'm talking creative leverage. And hey, could you give us a little bit to help us go in another direction, which is going to be more profitable to us than what you're wanting us to do with Croton?
They indicated, at least Rick Black indicated that it's this project, which the Johnstown project, Newark to Hanover is a project, and then they're using the rest for their own water and sewer infrastructure, the county-owned infrastructure down in Buckeye Lake or Newton Township, north of Newark.
They had already had, I think he said 28 million and 34 million spent.
28 million towards them,
Towards-
county
yeah.
projects. We can ask them, but it's definitely a way to negotiate.
I don't see the leverage. I don't. That's going, they're running water, they're agreeing to run water or tentatively help run water to a community that can't afford it,
Yeah,
just like Hanover.
if we say, oh, we'll help you do this if you give us money for 37, but if you don't, then we're not going to do it. They're going to be like, okay, now we have some more 7 million
We
more
have
dollars
7 million more
to
dollars to
spend
spend
on
over in Newark.
ourselves.
And we don't have an end user down 37. It would be future perspective, of what we may or may not get down there. So I always like to work with leverage if we can, but I don't see that we actually have any leverage there. They'll go, oh, you don't want the money to run up towards Croton? Great, let's take that money back to Newark. It is the way I view what's going to go on there. And then they'll have in their hind pocket, we tried to give you money before, $7 million, and you refused it. So we don't want to hear this, that
Not
we
that it
don't
was
work
gonna
with
benefit
you.
us other than creating a customer for us to sell water to.
I agree with that statement, But I do think there's a future out there and down the different side roads and as growth. But it's not going to be, I agree with Cheryl, it's not going to be tomorrow.
I wonder what would happen
It'll be a
though,
build out situation.
if you guys decided you did want to go up to Hartford. I wonder what would happen if you had a date, you had it all planned out and you went to Trillium Farms and said, look, we're putting this in. We're gonna have it in and running by this day. It seems like they might be interested to hop on almost
As a
immediately.
user,
Yeah.
I would assume so.
If you can get some kind of memorandum of understanding with them beforehand, the ROI might make sense to do that, but I kind of agree with the 37 analysis. I think you're better to put infrastructure that way than.
We can do both.
I guess I want to be clear again. I know 37 would be a better run, but we don't have gifted money to run that.
My idea is you don't know unless you ask. So you could be in a very diplomatic way and say, you know, I'm just saying it should at least be put out on the table in a nice way, not a threatening way. Who knows? They might be in a great mood that day and say, you know,
Well, the
Maybe
main
they'll
key
have
that
not
they
that they
will
have been at
Will
all.
never-
the main key that they will ask is who's your end user. We don't have one. It's
No.
future.
Well,
Future.
Taking Alexis is maybe the MOU with the golf course.
Yeah, that would be an
You know,
opportunity.
maybe we show them an MOU with the golf course saying, hey,
Well, and there've been some discussions with him about that. So.
I guess.
And he's willing to pay for the
As soon as you run them water, they need sewer.
Yeah.
Water in, water out.
I don't know. I think you have to look at it as a planned development opportunity, whether it's immediately or in the future. You know, if you're going to extend your operations and possibly increase the size of the village, you know, in that direction, you know, what parcels are out there that make sense to develop? You know, how will that open up the opportunity for additional, you know, additional opportunities for jobs, investment, that kind of thing, and make the business case in that way. Because again, sites aren't viable until infrastructure is in place, and it can't be the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken. You know, it has to be in concert. Pun not intended with the area that we're in. But you know, I think that if you make an analysis of the opportunities of, you know, development opportunities that are along 37 and being able to make those properties marketable, you know, that's the business case for going that direction. I mean, if you can't always say if you build it, they will come, but you guys are in a very strategic location in the county. So.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions too. So I think before we make the decision for Hartford, one of you needs to talk to Trillium to see if they would have an interest in hooking on. I think that, you know, because if they don't, that kills a big deal right there. Then the village of Hartford itself, are they willing to, okay, they're going to, they would pay for our water line to go up, but how about within the village, you have all the little streets. Are they going to pay for that too?
Commissioners will.
That's part of the $6 to $7 million to
Okay.
run it down the streets. The only thing the residents would have to pay for are their tap fees,
Mhm.
which is the Fraser money. that-
Right. So they would, because that was my question, all those,
So like, yeah, we'll run it down Evans Street, Delaware Street, Cross Street. But it's, you know, Joe Bob here, that's gonna have to pay for the connection.
right, yeah.
You know, for a plumber to connect it,
Mhm.
Run his service line.
the service line, thank you.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
Fraser money to pay us the taxing cost.
And when will we know about the Fraser money?
I don't truly understand how it's working.
Okay,
Because I know you gotta get on, Jared Nur's gotta come up with a list, which Groveland County's infrastructure committee is kind of vetting. I'm on the infrastructure committee, but I'm stepping back because we're gonna go ask for some money. So you gotta get on that list. You don't have to be on the list, but you get more points if you're on the list. So we're gonna get on the list. And then I don't know after that, I don't know if you know, Alexis, like what's gonna happen once Jared submits his list is.
So my
Who picks?
understanding, I was talking to Jim yesterday, is that
Jim Roberts.
he said that that Jared's list can like scoring wise on projects takes up like 10%, so it's not 100% of, it's not, he doesn't have final say on, what gets funded. His recommendation is like 10% of the scoring of the projects.
Okay.
So you can submit through ODOD your own projects.
So you're leaving 10% scoring on the table.
Yeah.
By not being able to do it.
And who makes the final decision?
DOD.
Yeah.
DOD?
So that's Jared had asked when, I forget, Jared, when did Jared ask for those submissions?
I don't recall the date. I know there was an email sent through and I talked to you. I said, of course, you can always get on the list. And then if the Fraser money doesn't come through, then we step back.
Right. I think we need to submit to Jared for the Fraser list, for the Fraser money. Because again, I don't think the Village of Croton's going to get on board if their residents have to pay their own tap fees.
That would be awesome if they could get the Fraser money.
Well, and, I won't say it publicly, but that's the conversations Mark and I had leading up to his development of the project was Croton. So I would assume, and I am
And
saying
he's going to
publicly,
support
that
that.
we could get the money from DOD. So I think that's number one. I mean, because I think that's the biggest cog in the wheel is if the money doesn't come for tap fees, I mean, it's DOA.
Yeah,
It would be for me. It would
we're
be
using a
for
lot of initials, the DOD and DOAs.
At our arrival.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's where I'm at though. But if we can get the infrastructure in the ground at no cost and the tap fees all paid to us to help supply a community that is not as well off as Johnstown financially, to get them safe, clean drinking water. That's part of what my business is to get what I mean, all the time in the American Water Works Association, we try to fund ways to get underprivileged in places clean water, clean, safe water. And Johnstown will be paid, as Jim terms it, for each widget, each 1,000 gallons we send out. So again, if the entire infrastructure can be put in the ground at no charge to Johnstown, I don't see the damage there with helping a community that needs service. But I also understand the 37 run, but I think we have money in the bank if we decide we want to run up 37.
You have some money. I mean, it could fund the preliminary stuff of
Yeah.
analysis. And
What'd you say? There's 1.16
it's probably 1.6 maybe.
you have to have Dana try to give us the numbers on that.
If we want to start a preliminary design of moving that way.
Because we're chopping a little piece off
We are.
at the Johnson property over on Sports Club.
Mhm.
And the Duncan Plains water
Right.
line.
Yeah, there'll be just under $100,000 spent out of water and sewer portions over there towards the Johnson property. I just signed a $17,000 contract for design to run down Duncan Plains. So we are taking little chunks of that at a time. And then I would assume, as soon as the design's done, we'll see about getting that bid and in the ground before the road widening takes place.
I guess my point of view is that we borrowed this money, bonded this amount of money to expand our water lines. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. We wanted to go down 310, we're blocked. 62, we're going to be blocked real soon. So we're taking this huge sum of money for Johnstown that we finance, and we're just piecemealing it here and here. We're not really moving forward with a forward-thinking plan of expansion, and I hate to see that happen. That was our initial idea.
Mhm.
So I would be interested in having a study done and taking it down 37. What are your guys' opinion?
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
totally confused by all the stuff that we
Well-
have to factor in.
Well, yeah, and so the staff will get you that report to help make your decision. We got 1.6 million, not considering Sportsman's Club or Duncan Plains.
Mhm.
So take out 200 grand, 300 grand.
Well, 100 for Sportsman's Club, that's water and sewer, and I'm gonna guess Duncan Plains, that's 2,000 feet.
How about the water tower? Wasn't that in there too?
No, that
No.
was separate.
Yeah, so I'd say 300 grand, 100 for Sportsman's Club, 200,000 probably to get to the new industrial park,
So you're one
Commerce Park.
conservative, we got 1.3. I mean, the water tower's in that, but we've already taken that money out.
Okay.
So we got 1 point, it's the balance of the 310 money. It's about
Mhm.
1.3 million.
Chip, what do you think? I mean, what's your feeling?
Well, I think 37 is probably the way to go.
Mhm.
I think 62 is going for New Albany is a lost cause
Yeah,
at this
it is now.
point. And
62 the other direction is kind of,
62
Yeah.
the other way.
that's
Depends on how many of those people wanna pay a tap fee and get
Yeah.
municipal water.
But I don't see another company coming into that
No,
area
nobody's gonna-
trying to take that territory. The
no.
37 west or north
Yeah.
is in danger.
And we know
And
that,
Croton Road is in danger of another water company coming into, and once the water's there, they'll have.
and we know
control of the
that
site.
the golf course out there wants to become a housing development, so, and high-end housing development. And, so they'll want water and probably sewer, but he's willing to pay for that. So he knows that's coming out of his pocket,
Well, the
So-
conversation, he's willing to pay for some of it.
some of it, most of it.
And my thing is,
So-
now this is off the water line itself. Is that gonna be an annex situation? Is that gonna be a satellite situation?
It's, none of those things. It's gonna be payment in lieu of taxes, just like, we're not gonna,
How are we gonna,
how can we do that? I don't know.
we can't enter an agreement with 300 people.
No. So it's
Like
gonna
we
have,
have-
But he could do with his homeowners association. And through his property documents, that you have to be a member of the association. The association has bylaws, and they'll be the contractee with the village of Johnstown to provide their water and their sewer.
a lot of HOAs go delinquent though. And then what do they do if you don't pay your HOA fee? Well,
I'm gonna turn your water off.
If they make it a new community authority and instead of just an HOA,
yeah, we
it's,
can't
it's
turn the
on
water
their
off. for
property
water bills.
taxes.
The problem with making them,
Satellite is more what I was
annexed to
thinking.
Johnstown is because we can't get there. We can't contiguously get all those property owners all the way up there to sign on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So it would be
So-
more of a satellite situation
I think
than an annexation.
doable, we just gotta figure like a new.
Figure it out, a new
something.
community authority or something.
When you're
Yeah.
referring to he, are you talking to Simons? Or who are you talking about?
I'm talking about, what's his name, the
Seven
builder.
Larry Canidi.
Or Panini, that's right.
No,
The-
So-
Romanelli.
Romanelli and Hughes.
Yeah,
It's
Clover Valley
Romanelli's gonna
Golf
build
Course.
these himself.
Yeah,
At Khyber Run?
He owns,
Clover Valley.
no, in Clover Valley, he owns,
On 37.
7 golf courses. All of them are gonna become housing projects.
Okay.
He's getting
I
out of the
didn't-
golf
I
course
didn't know
business.
who you, and I thought we were talking 37 this way, but you're
Mm-mm.
talking 37 that.
That way.
That way.
Okay.
No, the only thing you have this way are existing homes, and if those people don't want to pay the tap fee and sign on, why are we bothering?
Anybody that close as we chop down the road would have to annex to get service. It's if you're jumping a long distance, like to the golf course, they could be set up as a satellite community.
Right, there's the golf course just past.
That was a terrible line.
Yes. You're in the farm
I just went
fields.
rogue.
There it is,
Right,
right there.
here's the golf course. So that's the corridor we look at.
Yeah, and where's county line at on there?
Right there.
Jim?
Right there.
Yeah. See, and, you know, the word is out that Delco's wanting to cross county line.
Right.
I wonder if Romanelli and Hughes has been discussing with them
Well,
a cheaper route because they're just on the other side of county line. Delco is. I just don't want us to get surrounded and hemmed in. We're already covered to the west. We're already covered to the south. Southwest Licking, the county commissioners gave
Gave
that
that to them.
to Southwest Licking.
And then
you know.
the Jersey Township,
So if Delco controls us from the north, we're in a little bit of a pickle.
So what about doing preliminary? I mean, we did analysis on 62 Croton Road,
right.
37, not 37 north, 37 south.
South.
So what was the analysis for like 12 grand, 15 grand?
15. And I mean, there is the loop from Duncan Plains to 310 back to Johnstown and back. I mean, there's that quadrant that I've had some calls about.
if we wake up one morning and we find that MI Homes has bought all of Master Fair, which is, I don't think out of the
No,
possibility.
it's not out of the possibility.
And we'll be the last to know.
Yes.
And we'll have to move fast. That's why it's nice having that money sitting in the bank and not committed. But at the same time, I agree with Cheryl is that we did borrow that money and to do a water line, we should do a water line.
But if Mastercard buys it, they're gonna be paying for it. The water and sewer.
As long as we're the closest and then, you know.
As long as they don't make some
Push from
secret deal
Southwest
with
Licking.
Southwest Licking and suddenly a pipe's coming up 310
Oh, God.
all the way. You know, I don't trust those people any farther than I could throw them.
You're literally right next door though.
They wouldn't do that. I mean, I know I can't say never, but man, they're touching us.
Yeah.
I know. I
They're
know.
like right across the street from the
Yeah,
water
they're right,
plant.
they're right there, you know,
They can
it's
see
right
the
there,
water
they can
plant.
see them. But that's the
The other thing about that.
That was my advice is to our friends at the school board was you better go talk to those people and better do it now. Because once whatever deal gets cut with those people, it's gonna be over. And for the school, it's contiguous to Master Fair. And if they want additional land to build additional school buildings, they better make their deal now.
Yeah.
And not, oh, we got 20 years, we can wait.
And
Ain't
Cheryl,
gonna be available 20 years from now.
in dealing with that bonded money, we do have to start projects with that within a certain time
I think
frame.
it's 3 years.
And it's 3 years. How long has that money been?
It's been a year, I think.
2020 bond issuance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
We got time.
2021.
And
So
we can show we're spending it down. I mean, we're gonna start spending significant money on the tower and
So.
I think we need to expand this, I'm using expand twice here, but have the rest of the council members also weigh in on
Oh,
this,
absolutely.
especially like Ben, who's,
Oh, absolutely.
he'll do all our return on investment and all that, and yeah.
But it all sort of relates and it's what we're gonna be dealing with. And, just like, we'll be the last to know. We'll wake up one morning and suddenly bingo, gee, how did this happen? And,
and Southwest Licking is notorious. We have to have the next project to fund the last project. They're notorious for that.
yes, we know.
so finance committee is gonna talk about,
Yes, we'll move
Expending.
we'll move it to finance, let Ben work on it
Yeah, let him.
Teresa, can you make sure that's on? Thank you.
and get Marvin's and Doug's and,
And I know Marvin has had conversations with Romanelli preliminarily, not any commitments about anything other than his desire to develop his golf course land. So,
CRAs. Is that next, Cheryl?
oh yeah, I'm sorry, my mind's someplace else. Yes, if you could just go over for everybody where our current CRAs, the areas are.
Absolutely. So, and we're not gonna read this verbatim, but I kind of just did some generic summaries of different tools here and in Ohio. So again, just more for your light reading in the evening of what each different thing is. So
Could you bring it up on the map and just,
yep, I'll show you the CRA.
that makes, it's always easier to see it that way.
Not getting larger. I don't. So those are the 4 CRAs, and there's 2 different types of CRAs. And Alexis, tell me if I'm going wrong anyway. This is CRA 1, which is pre-94. 1994 is when the state had a major overhaul of their CRA program. So there are 3 pre-94 CRAs. Business Park actually comes down here into Track Street, College a little bit, Tech, obviously, yep. We amended it once already. No, we've amended it twice. So the third one is when it becomes a post 94. So we can't touch this again, or it becomes a post 94 CRA. We know what post 94 CRAs are like.
Yes, we do now.
I guess. So we want to, this one's not going to get touched. CRA 3 is downtown. Crowworks, Ghost Rider have abatements. Nybarger's building had one. Johnstown's gas station had one back in the day. So that's being utilized. This one is not really. This is the Kroger one. I don't think Kroger utilized it.
That's the old and new Kroger areas?
Yes.
Old and new.
Yep.
Okay.
All the way down to the pedestrian bridge down there with
Oh, okay.
all the way out to almost
Complaints.
actually New Kroger. is
No,
in there.
no, it's
Sorry.
not, it's not. I was gonna say, because there's Cherry
Cherry
Hills
Hills right
Road,
there.
and it's, yeah,
So it's the old
It's the
Kroger.
old Kroger
it's the old Kroger site
and
where
the,
the car wash was.
who's the owner, landowner down there that never does, they have a sign,
Josh Rubin.
Josh Rubin. That's Josh Rubin's area.
Oh, the one that's always moving dirt?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's that. So those are our 3 post,
And
those are our 3 pre.
Mhm.
And then we established the post 94 out here on the Enterprise Center plus a little bit more just to.
So what do business owners have to do to take advantage of the CRA? Send in the application that Jackie sent in? Okay, I had a call about it yesterday.
1, 2, and 3 are all like 1-page applications. Actually, 4 is 2, but 4 is where we get dicey with the school district.
Where is
Okay.
Ace at? The new Ace hardware?
It's
Is
in,
it within,
It's,
I think it's right here.
is that it
Yeah,
right
that's
there,
right
within right there? That little-
Mhm.
So they're in.
Yeah. And there's criteria too, so here's the criteria that has to be met for minimum to get the different types of terms. So post 94, this new one, they have to, it's negotiated with the school district. Pre 94, they can get 7 years, 10 years. Here's your minimum investment. So they have to meet those requirements of, $5,000 investment. CRA 3's downtown, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's why it's a
CRA
little,
3 is.
yeah. So again, the CRA is basically freezing their property tax. So they,
Mhm.
whatever they're developing at today, that's their property tax for the next 10 years, up to 15.
So they still pay property tax, but they just pay what
They pay today.
originally was.
Can you apply for it after the fact?
No,
I thought Jackie Solomon did. Like
For
after-
residential or for commercial?
For
Commercial.
commercial
we
slash
don't do
industrial.
CRA on residential,
Mm-mm,
technically,
Not going to.
even though that's the
Oh,
whole
it's up here.
point of the program. But we have them.
So it has to be before you start on your remodel.
Yeah.
I have to look at that.
But she was a new construction, so
Mhm.
Well, you're supposed to still do it then. I'll talk about it.
Sorry.
But yeah, if like Ace Hardware, if they're gonna seek that, we should talk sooner
Okay.
than later.
Before they start.
And it's just paperwork for the pre-94 CRAs.
Okay.
Little dicier with the post-94 CRA.
Which is what ACE is in.
Correct. Of course. So that's the CRA. We have no TIFs, tax increment finance districts. We have them on paper, but Sarah Phillips never filed them with the state, and they were all residential TIFs, which, you know, is good or bad depending on how you view residential TIFs, but technically they don't exist. There's legislation passed by the village, there's maps, there's pro formas on how the money should be spent. But they don't exist because it never made its way down to the state. So we don't have any TIFs. TIFs is basically, property owners still pay their taxes, but it's redirected back towards the improvements being made to the associated development. So taxes remain the same. It's just redirected from fire district or CTEC.
And that's the property tax.
Correct.
And is the school reimbursed for that?
Yes.
Depends on what
Yeah, it
the
depends.
TIF or non-school TIF.
Depends how the negotiations go.
Okay, well, it would be a TIF here
TIF.
for Johnstown schools, yeah.
Yep.
It
Yes.
would. So,
So those are probably the two bigger issues now. Brownfields on page 1. I mean, there's a ton of money coming both for certified brownfields. So that's, you know, the EPA knows there's issues on the property. And then there's perceived brownfields. So we're assuming there's contaminants on the site. There's money for both. Before it had to be, you know, there's contaminants. Now there's two programs. So if you think there's money for the potential brownfields, which I think maybe we could utilize on some redevelopment here in the village. Those are the two bigger things that I wanted to hit on that, number 9. And if there's questions. Also, this is a presentation I drafted for a client on my private side for the city of Belfry. I did their economic development plan. So I simply copied and pasted and switched Belfry to Johnstown, but it gives overall views of trends and what's happening in
You
economic
didn't change
development.
all
I didn't, there was some,
No, like the first page.
the first page.
First bullet.
dang it. Well, shouldn't have hurried. But we didn't recreate the wheel and it's still relevant data. It's only
Yeah,
6
good.
months old. So take a look at that. More just, I think, Cheryl's question about why economic development and the purpose of it. I hope it's answered in there. If you want to go through a 2-hour presentation of listening to me, I'll be more than happy to do it, but I don't think anybody wants to do that. So that's kind of in line with item number 9 as well.
okay. Development impact fees is next on the discussion. If we want to, we can put this on to the next meeting, or do you want to discuss it now, or? It's everyone's favor.
I'm here all day, so. it doesn't
Okay, well,
either.
let's discuss it a little bit.
We can touch on it maybe.
Let's touch on
Touch
it.
on it and then
Yeah,
So the city of Pataskala hired a company to, and I think I sent it out.
you did.
But let me bring it up. Rick Black emailed me. Oh, I just
Water
got-
meeting.
I just got to open it. Oh, okay. Nothing. But Scott Fulton. So Scott Fulton sent me information, and basically their concern, like many other communities, is, you know, as development occurs, this is more residential.
Mhm.
You know, we need money for
For the streets, lights.
Right.
Mhm.
So, if we want to go down this road, that's fine. It's similar to the engineering study we did with the tap fees. We just can't pick and choose numbers. We got to look at real costs and whatnot. So they used, who'd they use? I forget. They're out of Columbus. And this gives the methodology that Strand, they use Strand to do it. But basically they look at all 326 pages of this report.
That's why I didn't read it.
Yeah. But it gives a methodology. So when developer A says, you're raking me over the coals for these impact fees, and we say, well, spend your time and read this, and here's why we did it. But this methodology is obviously going to cost some cash. So that's not something the administration is going to be able to fulfill. It's going to be like the design standards of the contractor coming in and helping us with that.
So with the impact fees, they look at the streets, on what the infrastructure, what do they really look at?
They will look at whatever you ask them to look at. So if it's lighting, if it's streets, intersections, signals.
Okay.
Alexis, I don't know what your experience is with it, but those are probably the bigger ones. Parks, you have an impact fee to your fire department,
Police, fire, city services in general.
Okay.
So whatever we believe is impacted by a development needs to be analyzed. So
if you would need another police officer or.
Yeah, police is a good one.
parks,
Parks is a good one. I like that one.
parks, roads, probably the top two. Police, it's a little more softer of a cost,
Yeah.
so people don't.
And the lights, right? Street lights.
And, impact fees, I know we're talking about that, but I think pretty soon we're gonna have to look at our MS4, which is a stormwater management utility. Because we're gonna have to come in compliance with that once we're a city, which we'll join the consortium in Lincoln County, but there's gonna be things required of us. I'm getting off topic of maintaining stormwater infrastructure a little more rigidly than we do now.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm going back to fees. That's a fee that would be paid by the residents. Again, there's gonna be a methodology associated with it as well. So that's another thing we should look at
Okay.
sooner than later. It's easier to impact 5,400 people than, 6,500 people 3 years from now. So let's
Mhm.
piss off less people today than more people tomorrow.
It's in place.
So like have a separate fee for wastewater, stormwater.
We might run on Newark.
What was that? What did you call it?
MS4. It's
MS4.
the state's requirements for clean
Okay.
drinking or clean stormwater.
When would that, Jack, when do you think that would become a requirement?
City status.
I think it's when we become a city.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay.
Now we'll have some time to get it together and put it
Mhm.
together, but it's not something we can ignore.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can push it off today. We can voluntarily comply today. But we're gonna have to monitor effluents into the streams and.
So it's like you said, if we want to have a fee structure, which if we're going to get into that, we need to have one. We have to have a methodology to
Mhm.
do that, just like our tap fees. We have
Right,
to have
sure.
a defendable
Mhm.
program
Reasonable.
to show why we charge what we charge.
Okay.
I am gonna reach out to Scott, the planner, Patasko, to ask him what the fee was for Strand.
That's a
Just
good
out of
idea. Find out.
curiosity.
Yeah.
And if it's reasonable, maybe they can do a proposal for, because it'll be cheaper. I would assume it's cheaper for us. I mean, Patasko is
That's true.
6 by 6 square miles
Mhm.
or 36 square miles. We're 2.7.
Mhm.
So.
I think that would be a good idea to at least know what the fee is. Okay. Is there any other questions on that?
One thing, just as we go through it, be prepared for the BIA to be at our meetings.
The what?
Building Industry Association,
Hmm.
because with prices of homes where they are, this is only going to add to that, because, and that's going to be their complaint. Obviously, our rebuttal is, well, your homes are impacting our infrastructure. So, so that's probably one of the bigger things of note as we get through this. That's going to be the controversy.
And they're definitely watching. They have already sent us their opinions on the design standards book.
And I would recommend bringing them to the table at the very beginning. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Anything else?
Well, yeah, I want to go back to brownfields.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I was just reading all your stuff here. And Bailey is hoping that we could maybe extend the bike path at some point, which would be going up Track Street. And I was just wondering, reading about brownfields, if possibly some of that property could be considered in a brownfield situation. And the reason, then I went over to this other document that Jim gave us, and it said, a growing interest in providing open green spaces with urban areas has sparked the redevelopment of brownfields into parks and recreation areas. Can we possibly, I mean, reading the description about brownfields, a lot of that property down there is not being utilized at all.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying, maybe think about this.
Yeah, you remediate the property and just
Put a
plant grass.
little lie into the property owner's ear on Track Street, one of the property owner's ears. So he's aware.
Well, let me ask you also this, that's a bus transportation accessories company. You talked about transportation through tech. Is it possible to think about somehow bringing them in so that they could, because we really need to get that guy on board now that he's kind of in charge
He's not
instead of
gonna
his
spend his
father who died, or his stepfather who died. Just throwing all that stuff out there to
Sure.
think about.
He wants us off his back, so he seems pretty willing to explore his options,
At least he's
which he
talking
is
to us.
actively talking to us and
Yeah.
trying to figure out some stuff that he can do.
That's
Yeah.
very encouraging because his stepfather slammed the door a long time ago.
Yeah, we can, yeah, absolutely.
Does Johnstown have a master plan, or do you guys have plans to create a master plan for the city when it becomes a city?
We have a comprehensive plan that we passed in 2020.
Yeah, we have recent plans. We just passed our design standards, 2020 comp plan, Parks and Rec plan in 2018.
Mm.
OSU did that for
It
us.
was
for free.
earlier than
Was
that.
it
I think it was
16,
2017.
17.
What else have we done?
We're
Oh.
redoing our zoning.
We're doing our zoning active transportation plan. LCATS just did for us with Bailey's help. So Parks Committee's implementing that for us. So we got a lot of that heavy lift of getting all that stuff updated is almost done. Last one probably be in the zoning regs.
Mhm.
And well, until we take on the MS4 program
And I've
Development.
thought of other things.
and yeah, so
I did want to let you guys know that ACE's architect has been in contact with me and they're moving along pretty quickly. So I expect to get something from them here within the next month or two.
Good.
Although we did throw a little wrench in their plans with the design standards,
That's all right.
so it happens.
Alexis, anything? A lot of information, so let me know if you have any questions anytime.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, we can adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.